Hey guys, welcome to the One Life podcast. Here with David, and the reason I've got David here is we've got a lot in common, from being a performer, fitness, drones, a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurial being the main one.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a rundown about you and who you are, what you represent.
Yeah, I'm a professional acrobat slash inventor. I've been performing for over 15 years now professionally. Got into it in college. Always had like hustles and whatnot, like just throughout my whole life. Like my parents told me when I was 10 years old that I could buy a dirt bike if I could afford it.
Oh, really?
And that was like a huge motivator. So I started my first business at 10.
Did you really? What was that business?
It was I had just built my first computer.
Really?
So I was working on friends and families' computers, just doing repairs. Like,
and that was your business at 10?
At 10.
How cool is that?
Through high school, I had businesses. I paid my way through college with a business working on video game systems.
Really?
Yeah. I was a competition gamer in high school and college, and made a decent amount of money doing that.
What was your parents' thoughts when you paid for your first bike?
They were like, "Oh shit!"
They're probably like excited and happy who you are and what you did, but they're probably like, "Damn,
yeah,
that was a bad idea."
I think they wanted me to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? If I was a parent, I'd want my daughter to fail too.
But it was probably one of the best things they could have done, because that kind of set me up for success.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's probably the best thing. It just implanted something in you from day one. If I want something, I gotta make it work.
Exactly.
Whereas someone else probably like just throw a tantrum, beg, but you just found a way of doing it.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I've always gone about stuff too. Is like, I mean, I failed more times than I've succeeded, but like because of that, I've never really been afraid of like taking that leap or like having a failure. I just learn from it, move on, and like adjust.
There's so many things I want to touch on, but let's touch on that, like failing. I feel like most people are scared to fail.
Oh, big time.
And I feel like it's because you're at school, you're not supposed to color outside the line, you're not supposed to ask questions, you're just supposed to, shut your mouth and listen. So what's your thoughts towards failure? Like why do you think it's okay to fail?
Because nothing really bad's gonna happen as long as you plan ahead. You can just learn from it, grow from it. I mean, it's that whole mantra that like Silicon Valley has of like fail fast and hard. And then just kind of make revisions and
just get back up and try again.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And you can kind of monitor your failing, right? Like you don't just take out $100,000 loan on a business and try it.
Yeah.
You do your research. You take baby steps.
Oh, 100%. Like I do testers on anything that I do. Before like committing to it full time. Like even with like I do circus as a living now. I started getting into it. Started like getting more props and stuff as like the gigs came up, and like a lot of the times I like one of the biggest things is just say yes, especially in the beginning. I've switched over now to more of a hell yes or no attitude from Derek Sivers.
Okay, talk to me about that. I haven't heard that.
Like once you like, a lot of people take this the wrong way, I think, and basically like if something's not a hell yes, it's a no. Like, and it just kind of like optimizes and leaves you open for the bigger, more exciting opportunities that might come up. But a lot of people take that and think of that in the beginning, when in the beginning you just need to say yes to everything.
Yeah, and figure it out as you go, right?
Yeah, I had somebody offer me to ride a unicycle, and I had a week to learn for a gig, and I was like, yeah, I can ride a unicycle. And then I was like on this cheap Chinese unicycle that our college had, trying to figure it out, and just like for several hours a day I learned, and then I performed it on stage, and maybe like 3 months later, I was on like 2.5 Men. The TV show.
Really?
Yeah,
I love that show.
There was like an episode where Charlie Sheen's mother has sex with the traveling circus, and like we're all just like leaving, and I'm like juggling on a unicycle.
Really?
Yeah.
How cool is that? There's a book by Jerry Weintraub. I'll Stop Talking When I'm Dead. Have you ever read that?
No.
The main premise for that book is just he said yes to everything.
Yeah.
And he just figured it out, and he ended up being Jerry Weintraub. Like some of the craziest things he's done, but he said yes, and he just figured it out.
Oh, 100%.
So what makes you think you can say yes to something? Like what makes you special that you can say yes to something, know that you're gonna land on your feet, or
the thing is, I'm not special. Like, I'll fail.
But I mean, up here, you got to be like thinking differently than most people.
Yeah, a little bit. But I think it's like that whole entrepreneurial mentality of like jumping out of the airplane with all the parts to build a parachute and figuring it out on the way down.
Yeah.
Like, you might have to cut some corners, but you'll make it work. Like, and I work best under that pressure. I've always been a procrastinator. I waited like for 15-page papers in college. I waited till the last minute. Like, I did all my research before.
Yeah.
And then I just pulled an all-nighter and yeah.
And just made it work. How do you feel about safety nets and having a backup? Or you feel like you're better off burning the bridges, not having a safety net, just jumping in with 2 feet?
I think the safety net is like the most important thing.
So you think it's important to have some type of fallback?
Yeah, because if you don't have that fallback, you're going to make bad decisions based on a need rather than kind of making the best decision that's best for you in the long run.
Okay.
I've always just like lived really cheap up until recently. And that's let me make the decisions to where I can put all my time and energy into something and not have to worry about like paying the bills.
Yeah, so you've lived below your means, even though you didn't have to.
100%. Like
talk to me about that, because that's Dave Ramsey 101 right there.
Yeah.
And that's what I do too, and it just gives you so much room to breathe.
Oh my God, it's I grew up poor. I didn't grow up poor. Like, my parents made a decent amount of money, but they were really bad with money.
Okay.
So I kind of learned from their bad example, and did the opposite. And yeah, I've always lived under my means up until last year. I've never owned a car that was worth more than $2 or $3 grand.
Guy, listen to what he said there. That is huge. That is so big. So if you don't know, the average car loan is $500 a month over 96 months. The average car loan in America. So that means if you don't have a car loan, you're $500 in front of the average American every single month for 9 years. And here you like making money, and you're 39 now?
Be 38 next month.
38. So at 36, you've bought $2,000-$3,000 cars.
Yeah. And
I'm so proud of my $6,000 Camry.
Yeah.
I don't have a car loan.
Mm-hmm.
My insurance is cheap, and I don't care what anybody thinks about the car I drive, because they judge me on the car I drive. It's the wrong person for me anyway, right?
Definitely.
So I'm so happy to hear you say that. And like, what else have you kind of lived cheap? Is it just not buying new clothes? Is it not trying to impress other people?
Yeah, I've never really. I mean, I wear like basic T-shirts. Buy a lot of my clothes at the thrift store still.
Really?
Yeah. Me and my girlfriend go like every once in a while. Check out thrift stores. I'll buy a few things that are nice in case I have to like have a business meeting or something like that. But that's more of like just a work expense, and I write that off at the end of the year. But like, my rent has always been cheap. When I was living in LA, I never spent more than like $600 a month on a place.
Even in LA?
Yeah, wow, until I was making over 6 figures a year, and then I splurged on a place that was $1,300 a month,
which is like regular rent here.
Yeah, which was like, and it was a deal at the time, but it was more so I would have a place to work on all my projects.
Yeah.
And to be able to build a business. So
Gotcha.
I wrote off half of that anyway, so I was still spending about $600 a month.
I love that. There's a Dave Ramsey saying, it says, live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. Mm-hmm. And I love that. And that's exactly what you've done. And you've done it for a big part of your life. Like, majority of your life.
I mean, I did splurge and I bought a Tesla last year, but that was...
That must have been the coolest, rewarding feeling. A, knowing you can afford it.
Yeah.
B, knowing you waited so long for it. And C, just waiting 36 years to do that, 37 years to do that. Like,
it felt...
And not borrowing the money to do that.
Exactly. I paid for it in cash.
Which has got to be an amazing feeling.
Technically, it was probably a $3,000 car because I invested in Bitcoin when it was $2-3 grand.
Gotcha.
And as soon as one of them hit the price of a used Tesla, I bought it used, didn't buy it new.
Yeah.
It already came with autopilot, and now I use it as a mobile office whenever I'm going to LA. So cool. Like, I'm editing videos. Like, it frees up a lot of my time.
Yeah, which time is everything, right?
Exactly.
Especially once you get to the position where you're at, time is probably the most valuable thing that you need or you lack.
100%.
There's another thing I've heard. It's like, if you can't buy something 10 times, you can't afford it.
Exactly.
And I really like that, because when I go to buy something, I'm like, can I buy 10 of them? No, I can't.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm not getting it.
I think Jay-Z said it too, but he said it was 2 times. I like 10 times a lot better.
10 times just gives you true perspective, right?
Oh, yeah, because then, I mean, you still have financial freedom.
Because a $5,000 purse is now like, have I got $50,000 spare for purses? No, I probably shouldn't buy it. Let's go to Target and get something I can afford. I got so much I want to talk to you about. Question: as you got a girlfriend now?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long have you been with her?
About a year.
So how is it finding someone and dating someone to get the same mindset and be on the same path as you?
It's actually really difficult, and I feel like that's been one of the breaking points of a lot of relationships.
I feel like it'd have to be, right?
Was because if I wasn't spending the time with them, they felt like I was neglecting them. But I'm just so hyper motivated and want to be working on my own stuff, and this girlfriend is probably the first one where we give each other space to grow. She's always training, working on projects. She's finishing up her MFA right now.
Okay, so she's very motivated herself.
Super motivated, and then
you inspire each other, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's a saying: those who do not increase you will eventually decrease you. So they're not adding to your life; they're eventually going to pull from your life. And she's definitely adding value to your life.
Oh, in so many ways.
And that's got to be an awesome feeling, right? Yeah. And that's when you know you're the right person. That's cool. And then if you're being like, I don't like to say tight on money, but if you're being reserved, you're being frugal, she's got to be on the same page as that too, right?
Oh, 100%. And that's one thing I like about her too, is she was a Navy veteran, and she gets like a stipend from the government, and like she doesn't live outside of that stipend, and then everything else is bonus.
Okay.
So like she's not living outside of her means, like, and if we want to go take a trip, and like we're thinking about going to Mexico and like doing some street performing for fun.
Oh, really?
For like 2 or 3 months, and trying to fund the entire trip just with the money we make
street
performing.
Cool. I thought about that, like traveling and taking my camera and just funding the trip.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple skills you could do that with.
Exactly, and she's got skills too, so it's like
that's awesome.
It's kind of perfect, and it's kind of an exciting challenge because, like, as you know, like once you conquer one mountain, you're looking for the next one.
Yeah.
And it would just be fun and different.
And also, too, you got to remember that trip so much more than like just 5-star hotels, just no worry in the world, just kind of grinding and meeting the locals and having those conversations. And like when I travel, I want to travel poor. I want to do it real. I don't want to stay in 5-star hotels. I want to get as close to the locals and the community and get the best perspective I possibly can by traveling, opposed to doing it the other way around. And there's nothing wrong doing it the other way around, but that's the way I want to do it. And that seems like the way that you kind of want to do it too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. Going back to your college days, you didn't start training until you're in college.
Yeah.
Did you have any type of fitness background or any type, like, what made you suddenly think like go into performing and then take it to where you're at now?
I had a crush on a girl in college from high school, and I knew she was a dancer.
Gotcha.
And I just said like, yeah, I've always been interested in dance class. She's like, oh, well, there's a dance class after this. Do you want to come with me?
Oh, no way.
And it happened to be the auditions for the colleges, like it's a little community college, for their performance dance troupe. And they just needed guys, so I made it in.
Oh, gotcha.
And, I started
Do you naturally have rhythm?
I don't naturally have rhythm, but I played, like, one of the competition games I played was Dance Dance Revolution. I picked it up well enough to, like, be on stage, and over the course of several years, kind of built up my chops on that, and the dance department partnered with a theater department for a circus program. Yeah. And I just kind of fell in love with that and trained 5 days a week just because I enjoyed it while I was finishing my degree. And then as soon as I finished my degree, I got offered a contract through that to go to Japan with the LA Circus.
Really?
And I was like, wait, I can actually do this for a living? Like,
that's right.
I'll give this a shot.
Yeah. And I think once up here, you accept the fact you can do whatever you put. I'm stupid enough to think I can do anything.
Same here.
And I've proven myself right time and time again. But it's got to be something I'm passionate about. If I'm not passionate about it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like you've got the same mindset where, say, like you do video, right? Say video, you can get good in 5 years or you can get good in 6 months. And you seem like you're the type of person who would get good in 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
Because you put your head down, you put your bum up, like Australians say, and you just grind and you learn the skills and you make it happen.
Exactly.
Talk to me more about, like, why you're like that.
I don't know. I just, like, I have, like, an innate interest, and after learning so many random skills and whatnot, it kind of goes back to like 80-20 analysis, which is like the 20% of the work gives you 80% of the output and vice versa.
So like, is that like perfect practice in a way? Like,
yeah, a lot of it I got from reading the book The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle.
I've not read that book.
And then also just general practice. You kind of like look at like what aspects of it are going to give you the most results.
Okay.
Attack those first, and then kind of fill in the gaps.
And I'm sure they're probably the hardest things too, right?
No, a lot of them are actually like the low-lying fruit. Like,
oh, they really?
Yeah. That'll give you. I mean, that's what I found. It's not necessary for everything, but like I do sear wheel primarily, which is a big metal hoop that I do acrobatics in. And like. The tricks that get the most applause are like those first 20% that I learned.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And like all the tricks that I've spent years on, to where like if I throw it in a show, I'll probably land it, but I might not. The audience doesn't understand it.
Gotcha.
So. And
that's kind of, okay. That's interesting. I want to kind of go back to what you're saying, like being frugal. Like I know 8 out of 10 Americans, 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
And I know that's because no one's really got any, like we're similar ages, and I feel like everybody's got no patience anymore. Everybody wants everything yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by being frugal, what happens when you're spending more money than what you don't have is you get stuck in this trap. You get stuck in this job and you're living paycheck to paycheck because you're buying cars you can't afford, you're wearing clothes you can't afford, you're living in a house you can't afford,
mm-hmm.
and there's no breathing room.
Yeah.
And can you kind of touch on your perspective on that?
I mean, I totally agree with that, and I saw it in my parents growing up because they were both making like close to 6 figures at one point and didn't have any money left over at the end of the month. Went through multiple foreclosures, and I went down that path for a little while, and the stress and burden of it, I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. I bought a house when I was in college, part of the financial crisis. No money down, like it was like $2,000 a month.
Gotcha.
And I was renting it out to my friends. It just kind of fell apart. Gave it back to the bank and decided I would never be in debt again.
Okay.
And then that's really when I started living truly frugally. And the weight it took off gave me the freedom to make the right decisions. Like I didn't feel like I needed any of that stuff. Like I think luckily, like I didn't feel the need to impress people with my car or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I just want to live my life, have a good time, and like help those around me like do the same.
It's breaking that mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all up here. It's like because it's embedded in you through advertising and media, and since you're a kid, you got to have this, you got to wear these shoes, you got to drive this car, and it really takes training, it takes skill to break that mindset.
Definitely.
And like you said with your parents, and that's like the rich stay rich because the parents, no matter what they do, they just see the right thing, and the poor stay poor unless they step up and they start reading books or talking to the right people, or they see their parents making the wrong mistakes and they pivot and they change.
Yeah.
But you really gotta go out of your way to do that, don't you?
You have to be able to put the work in. You have to see the patterns,
recognizing them,
and then
right?
be able to have the just like mental fortitude to change them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think being frugal, if anyone wants like to be an entrepreneur or have a career as an artist, I feel like that's one of the most important things. Like
giving yourself breathing room.
Yeah. And even when you get that first big contract or whatever it is, don't go out and celebrate. Like
yeah, that's the thing I find, right? It's like in experience, I made $200 a week, I made $2,000, I made $6,000, and it's so easy to live to your means.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I made $6,000 this week, I'm going to go out and spend it, and all of a sudden you're just as broke as you were the week before.
Exactly.
And you don't feel any better, and that nice shirt or that nice clothes becomes very ordinary after. Even a nice car, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you appreciate your car because you waited so damn long for it. But for most people, that nice car that they can't afford just becomes a car after a while.
Yeah, and then they're looking for the next thing to fill that
void.
The only thing I will say is like the exception that I make is if I'm investing in something that I think is going to either progress me as a person, like books, classes, whatever, or some sort of equipment to further like a business. Like,
Gotcha.
those are the times that I'll splurge, and that's that whole rich dad, poor dad, liabilities versus assets mentality. So
give me more about that, because I 100% agree. Like, I get no problem spending money on books and education. Like, I cannot spend enough money on books and education. It's just how quickly can I consume it. Talk to me more about that. How do you know what books to read? How do you kind of pivot? What information?
I just kind of like I do kind of an analysis at the end of the year, like what aspects of my life are lacking, what aspects like I need to be working on, and I'll just kind of write those down.
That's being truly honest with yourself, right? And that takes a skill in itself.
Yeah.
To be able to like literally identify your weaknesses.
Well, and that also goes back to not being afraid to fail, is like just being like, oh, I'm shit at this, like, and then being able to accept that and try to work on it. Like, that's huge. And it's a mindset thing that's taken me years to get, because like, especially when you're insecure or like you're starting out at something, you're like, oh no, I need to like puff off my chest and like show how good I am. No, it's like, admit when you're wrong and learn from those mistakes.
It's so true. Nobody likes to look bad.
Yeah.
And there's, from my experience, I've done a lot of martial arts, and you're walking in and you're the worst person in the class.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody starts somewhere. There's nothing wrong with being a beginner at anything, because by taking that step, that's probably the most important step, by starting, right?
Definitely.
There's nothing wrong with just getting out there and starting, no matter how stupid you look. Putting yourself on camera like this, it doesn't matter. You just gotta start.
Yeah.
What made you start reading? How old were you, and what was the first book?
I mean, I've always been like consuming different things, but I'm all over the place with that. Like, I used to, like in college, read a lot of psychology just for fun.
Yeah.
I was either going to go, I was going to go into psychology as my major, and then decided I wanted to drop it to a minor. I was doing a double major with that and communications, PR, and marketing. Dropped it so I could like live my life, but really what got me into like my current trend, where I'm like, so I mean, I'm all over the place a little bit depending on the year and depending what books I find, was probably about 5 years ago when I hit a point of burnout. My businesses were doing well, but I had no time for myself, and I just knew that I needed some sort of change.
Okay.
And then somebody recommended me the 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. That changed my life. Not everything was applicable to my industry, but like particularly like 80-20 analysis and some of the practices in that. And outsourcing made a huge difference, and I was able to work a fifth as much, make twice as much, and it's been increasing ever since. And then I just started listening to all of his podcasts, because he always has really interesting top performers.
Yeah, he's got some great people.
And anytime like someone that I really resonated with was on the podcast, I would look up their books, see if anything interested me, and then go down there.
Go in more depth and just get obsessed with that person, right? Outsourcing is huge, especially as an entrepreneur.
And it's one of the hardest things you'll do as an entrepreneur.
It's being able to step back and put someone else in a position.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough I was filming some video, and this guy was close to being a billionaire. And his exact words are 3 ways of making money. And it's leveraging people, time, or money. And that's basically like leveraging time or people is outsourcing.
Yeah.
Being able to step back and delegate and put someone else. So talk to me about your journey with that and how you get past actually starting that. And
I mean, it's still one of the biggest things that I struggle with now. It's just, it's one of those things. We pick up all these skills. We think we're the only person that can do all these things. Yeah. So like even in my company, like making like LED products and booking them out like for private and corporate events and NBA halftime shows, I'm probably the biggest bottleneck in my company.
You are personally
100%.
Yeah. But that's self-awareness too.
I haven't scaled it, but part of that is because I can still only work a few hours a week, only concentrate on the better clients, and still have my free time to enjoy my life. Okay. But I've definitely outsourced quite a few things, and it took me a while to be comfortable with like booking other performers, letting go of some of the creative freedom on it, because like I've got my own style of performing that a client like expects.
Yeah.
And then I try to like force that on people, and like if you've ever seen a Cirque show, that does not work, because like you've got imitation of an imitation of an imitation like later down the road of what they originally created, and it just ends up watered down. You have to play to like people's strengths and like look at like, okay, show me your act, and what parts of that can we incorporate into like the act that I've been selling clients.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's an interesting thing to navigate, and I'm still learning a lot. Like that's probably one of my biggest weak points right now.
Gotcha.
And things I'm trying to.
I personally on the same page.
Yeah.
100%. Do you find, I find personally that people around me are telling me not to outsource. Oh, why don't you just do it yourself? Oh, you could do it yourself.
All the time, and like,
it's hard, right?
Yeah, I mean,
why would you pay someone else when you could do it yourself?
Exactly, and I've always been of that mentality, because like, one, I want to learn the things and get good at them.
Yeah.
Two, I want creative control, but like at a certain point, it just stops all progress. Like, I want to be growing my YouTube channel and like traveling more and having
more time to do things that you're more passionate about, right?
Yeah, I just want to be doing the thing and then have the episode about it and just keep cranking out the content, and that have that funding people creating things in my space, or funding like trips with my girl. Like,
and a big part of that is there's a lot of people out there who have got some unique skills, but they're not hustlers, they're not entrepreneurs. They would rather be just told where to go, paid a decent wage per hour, and that's that. And I find that with video, there's plenty people out there who just want the work.
Yeah.
I like 5% of what I do is actually shooting. 95% of it is getting the work. Mm-hmm. And that 5% is a lot of people out there just to hand up, hey, I just want more work. I want more work. I don't want to do the hustle. I don't want to do the emails. I don't want to do the Facebook ads.
Yeah.
They just want the work. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure performers are exactly the same.
99% of performers have no hustle, and like,
yeah, and it's just they don't read the books. They don't understand what it takes. Mm-hmm. There's some highly skilled people out there in every industry who just don't get enough work because they don't understand that it's business.
Yeah, you have to be able to market yourself. Like, you have to know, like, one, you have to pick a target market, which most performers won't do. They're like, oh, I just want to be performing. Like, okay, well, that's great. Do you want to be doing, like, kids' birthday parties? Like, do you want to be a birthday clown? Do you want to be doing corporate events? Do you want to be doing NBA halftime shows? Like,
have you read the E-Myth by Michael Gerber?
I have.
Yeah. So they talk about, like, the technician or the business owner. Mm-hmm. Two different things, right? 100%. Just because you're a good mechanic doesn't mean you can run a mechanic store. Mm-hmm. Completely different. Because it's wages, marketing, employing people, delegating, managing people. It's not just fixing cars.
Exactly.
It's so much more. I had a question for you, and it was the outsourcing. What's some of the hustles that you've done? Like, obviously you started when you were 10. What's kind of like little timeline of your hustles over the years?
I was working on, for about like 8 or 10 years, I was working on people's computers. During high school, I was a little bit of a riffraff, like downloading like illegal music and stuff.
Okay.
I think I'm past the statute of limitations, so I think I'm okay to talk about that now. But I would download music and started burning CDs for people. I was one of the first kids on the block with a CD burner.
How much would you sell that for?
$5 or $10 for like a custom CD, and it cost me like a quarter. That's
awesome. I would totally get that. Like, yeah.
And then,
all your favorite songs on a CD.
Exactly.
That's cool.
That led me to DJing like through high school and college.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, I've got all this, like, I know exactly what all my friends like, even like all the people I don't like. So then I would DJ, and then I wanted to start playing like Dance Dance Revolution and some other like imported games that they weren't offering in America. So I put a mod chip in my PlayStation. I was going to buy one for $100, have someone do it, and then I was like, wait, I wonder if I could do this. Like, I've soldered before.
That's so cool.
And I bought a chip for $5 online, installed it myself, and then started doing it for all my friends.
How much are you charging on that? That's because I remember getting one. That was like at least $100, $200 something, right?
I was charging like $100, and then like when PS2 came out, I was always like keeping on top of all of that, charging $150, $200, and people were mailing me their consoles from all over the country.
So you're making
It
some.
would take me a half hour to do it, and I'd make like $150 profit.
What age were you at this?
This was in like 18, 19.
How good's that?
Yeah, and
That's so good. I was making like $12 an hour or something, working at a bottle shop.
yeah, but I mean, it's still a
No,
hustle,
but
like, yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. And I like the fact you like, because I'm kind of the same. Like, oh, I could pay someone, or I could. Wonder if I could do this myself.
Yeah.
And before I like costumes right here, I was like, I'm buying these, I'm renting these. Wonder if I can just make costumes myself.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I've got 50 costumes that I made.
Awesome.
Like, so you just why not try it, give it a go?
Yeah.
So after that, what was your kind of next hustles? When do things start getting real serious? When you're like, wow, I can make some decent money doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, I basically did that all through college, and that kind of paved my way into performing. I was doing that, and I was doing like background and extra work for TV and movies, like apps, like when I first started.
How'd you get into that? How'd you get into that? Was this in Vegas?
No, it was in LA. I was out there for 14 years.
So you're in the right area, and then you obviously like it's not just being in the right area at the right time; it's also making yourself present.
Exactly, and we went to Central. Me and my buddy that I did acting, singing, dance, guitar, and now he's actually like a successful voice actor for anime and stuff.
Oh, is he really? Okay. Nice.
Yeah, like he's freaking killed it. We just went down to Central Casting in LA, got lured into like some Scientology scam where they like separated us and whatnot. Like as we were leaving, they're like, "Oh, do you guys want to get better at life? Like come with me." They've got a cute girl at like the corner of Central Casting. But I just started like calling in when I had free days. I wanted some on-set experience because I was interested in stunt work, and also like performing circus for TV and movies. And like basically I just did console repair and mods, and that as my like hustles that kept enough free time that I could train as much as I wanted to. Yeah. Until I was making basically like 4 times consistently for like more than a year, 4 times my income, or like what I was spending every month. Yeah. Just on performing, and then I at that point like tapered everything off.
Okay.
And then reintroduced like all the soldering and like just kind of like me being a little bit of a mad scientist. When I turned 30, I was like, okay, this is great. I'm making good money, but like it's not scalable. Like I'm like close to the ceiling. Yeah. How can I scale this?
And just touch on it. It's nothing wrong with not scaling either, right? If you're at that point and you're happy, you make the money you want, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no pressure to go beyond that.
Yeah. There's no pressure there.
But if you want to...
I put the pressure on myself on my 30th birthday. I'm like, okay, there's a lifespan for performing. I'm not going to want to do this till I'm 60. How can I scale it so I can retire at 35 was my mentality. And then I created the world's first pixel wheel that did images in the air while I'm performing, called the Volta wheel, and started my performance troupe.
What is that exactly?
So it has LEDs built in.
Yeah.
And like you've seen those clocks that that spin really fast and they like project stuff in the air.
Yeah.
It's based on that same idea of persistence of vision, where like if you like shine a flashlight across your eyes, you see that trail.
Yeah.
The trail doesn't exist, but if you were to blink McDonald's really fast, like every line of the pixels, you would see the McDonald's logo.
Okay.
So I invested about 10 grand, which was a lot of money for me at the time.
Yep.
About a quarter of what I had in the bank.
Yep.
Spent the next several months developing that and building multiples of them. And then I started the original idea was I wanted to perform for the opening ceremonies of the Olympics with 5 of them lit up.
How's that for a goal?
Yeah.
Dude,
and
what a goal.
We talked to them for Rio, and it just, they didn't have any budget. They're like, well, you guys want to come for free? I'm like, no, because I'm making good money doing this other places. But yeah, that ended up being the scalable business, and I had my timeline, kept having to like change things, started, once I invested in that and was making more money than I needed, I started investing in other things and hit my goal of being retired at 35 right before my 36th birthday by paying off my house and having enough money to just...
Got it. Well, was it a financial goal? Like that would allow you to retire? Is that what you're kind of getting at?
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
How do you measure that?
I mean,
being debt free and having a certain amount of money in the bank, or
yeah, I wanted to be debt free. I wanted to own my house and like basically have enough money in the bank that like I could spend the next 20 years and not have to make any money.
Gotcha.
But also having that financial freedom, like if I just work at McDonald's like a few days a week, if I can live off of that and not have any other
touch the
then that's like that financial freedom I was looking for. Because I mean, as a performer, you're not going to be able to do it forever. There's a shelf life.
But now you can work whatever you want and do it for fun, and it's extra money, but you've got that like big safety net.
Yeah, exactly.
If shit hits the fan, you're good for life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge, right?
Yeah, it's huge, but it's also like been one of my biggest struggles, which I've only had one or two people that I've been able to really like talk to about this and like have that resonate with, because I've always like my motivation for hustling was like
financial.
Yeah.
God.
And then as soon as that went away, like my motivation like dropped off a cliff.
You know what? I can totally, and I'm nowhere, just transparent, and I'm nowhere near where you're talking about. But the position I'm in now and the freedom I've got, I'm in the same position where if I don't work for the next 12 months, I don't have to work for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
I don't have to work for the next couple of years if I don't want to. But my motivation's kind of like because of that reason. And then I'm sure, I don't mean to talk for you, but if you've got money, you're able to buy whatever you want. It's A, you've already got the money, and B, there's not really anything else you want to buy. Yeah. Therefore, why you gotta keep grinding?
Exactly. And I've almost like recently I almost bought a town because I felt like I needed that motivation. Really? Like to have something hanging over and to be working towards.
Gotcha.
But another company in town put an offer for that town first.
Really?
Unfortunately, but probably fortunately at the same time.
So in a way, I know Grant Cardone talks about it a lot. He goes, he always spends his money. He goes, I'm not broke, I'm poor.
Yeah.
Meaning I'm cash poor.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime he's got money, he invests it. Yeah. Therefore, he's got to hustle to make that money back.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe talk to me more about how you're going to get past that. Like you're lacking motivation because you've got it together.
Yeah.
That's a weird problem. That's a problem most people are never going to face.
It's a really weird problem, and kind of how I've been approaching it through the pandemic is just kind of taking it day by day. I always put together a list at the beginning of the day of all the things I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, even if I'm not motivated, I'll trick myself and like just put like brush my teeth on there and cross it off, and then it gets the serotonin going.
Gotcha.
And like gets the ball rolling.
That's interesting. So you just put basic mundane things on there that you know you're going to do.
Or even like if I haven't accomplished anything, something that I have done, I'll write it down and cross it off, and then that'll get me going.
Get up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did that today.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I've been working through it. But I just kind of have been setting arbitrary goals, or like I've got a creation space in my backyard that I built, and I've just kind of been like trying to help other artists create what they want to be creating, and just kind of feeding off their energy and trying to like build with them rather than focus on my goals. Because like, yeah,
I was gonna say, why not start kind of people like myself, like really get in there and give them a push.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe that's what's going to make you happy. And with that, finance is probably going to come anyway, right?
Yeah, it's actually came like because I'm doing donation based. If anybody wants to like create in the Dream Factory, it's pay what you can for all artists. We've got a 4,400 square foot creation space.
Oh wow!
With an LED wall in the back, basic lighting. It's in like a black box configuration, but we've got a green screen and some other stuff.
Yeah.
People have actually been way more generous, and that's like helped us buy the LED wall and other things to upgrade the space. But yeah, I've just been like kind of focusing on that until the world comes back together, because like my next big goal that I had was I wanted to have a all technology based circus show on the Strip competing with Cirque. And
you set big goals. I love it. All right, so talk to me about there's a saying like 5 closest friends, your biggest influence.
Yeah.
So talk to me about your experience, how you find those friends, and what you kind of do with that.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this idea of the circle of 5, and that you are the culmination of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I don't necessarily believe that they have to be people you actually know.
Yep.
Like, I feel like Derek Sivers, Tim Ferriss, there's quite a few that are in my circle that I've never met and may never meet. But as far as like finding the ones like locally or like in my community, every year at the end of the year, I spend a couple hours and do a check-in of like basically like going through my calendar and looking at every single event that I had on the calendar.
Yeah.
And it's either a positive, a negative, or like a super positive, super negative.
Okay.
And I pretty much, all the negatives and super negatives I try to get out of the way. And then all the positives and super positives I'll look at, and like most of them are attributed to people that I'm spending time with. So I actively, every month at the beginning of the month, look at my calendar, reach out to those people, and try to connect with them more.
And build a stronger relationship with the right people. Gotcha. That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
I think this is what probably going to do for me is having the podcast, because I meet a lot of business owners, people I want to talk to more, but I'm working.
Yeah.
This gives me a chance to kind of do what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying this and like just talking about different life extension stuff, and like it's
not getting pulled from something else, like trying to work or fly drones or whatever it is.
Yeah, because if it's on the calendar, it exists, and like
but and you're here to do a certain thing and take a certain thing from this. Gotcha. So you're saying it's okay to take inspiration and be around the right people through books and podcasts. It doesn't just have to be.
I think it's almost
in person.
More important to do that, because if it's in your immediate circle of 5, like there's going to be a ceiling of like what your friends are accomplishing, like, and if you really want to grow, you need to like look at the top performers in the world and be able to like get influence from them. Yeah,
absolutely. And you can but you can also touch on the fact that your 5 closest friends that you do hang around with, if they drink and smoke and broke and waste money, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but if you want to not be a part of that anymore, you need to actually identify your influence and be able to step away from sometimes, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking to lose weight and all your friends are overweight, you're not going to lose weight. It's very rare you're going to lose weight. But if you change your friends and you start hanging around people who go to the gym, you're probably going to lose weight, right?
100%.
Probably going to get healthier. One of the big things I want to talk to you about is, you look fantastic. You look very healthy. Talk to me about the importance of that and how you kind of accomplish that.
Actually, at the beginning of quarantine, my health definitely deteriorated. I gained a bunch of weight because I wasn't performing, wasn't as active, and we were building the Dream Factory in the backyard, which like we were just eating fast food and like, I mean, we were being active, like we we're putting together a giant metal building, but like
COVID weight, like everybody.
Yeah, COVID weight.
I feel like most people got the COVID weight.
I got up to 215, and I've never been that high in my life.
What do you weigh now?
I'm down to 176 today.
Gotcha. So you put a bit of weight on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, normally I hover around like 180, 185.
Gotcha.
And then...
so you're living the good life there for a while.
Oh, yeah. Too good.
But we all do it, right?
Oh, yeah. It all comes in cycles.
It doesn't really matter so much, right? It's the ability to pull it back when you need to or when you want to.
And yeah, I just basically like... Last year's New Year's resolution was to lose the weight, but same thing. I set 1 month check-ins, and if I was behind, I would like reaffirm that resolution. And I didn't set weight loss goals. I just set changes in my habit as my goals.
Gotcha.
So I get that dopamine response just for accomplishing those, and the weight loss came after. Instead of looking at something like, I want a 6-pack. Well, that's such a far-off goal. You're not going to get any gratification for like 6 months a year, especially when you're overweight.
Sometimes when it's so far away, it seems so unattainable, like baby steps.
So, I just set the goal. And
What made you suddenly just like, hey, I got to lose weight?
I knew I needed to, and
did your girlfriend like, hey, you need to get off your butt, or did you just feel blah?
I just felt like I felt sluggish.
Usually, there's a turning point, right?
Heavy.
You see yourself on camera.
Yeah.
You get out of bed like an old man.
I was super out of breath when I did do my acts. Like,
so you're feeling it when you're working.
Yeah, I could still get through my acts.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
But getting through and looking forward to going is two different things, right?
So yeah, I basically like set some accountability. I made a YouTube video on it where I told all my friends that I was going to play Dance Dance Revolution every day for a month and do keto, and that jump started it. I lost 15 pounds.
So you started with keto?
Yeah. And then...
Keto and fasting, or just keto?
Just keto. I could eat whatever I want. I had keto ice cream, like...
Okay.
But yeah, I lost 15 pounds in a month introducing cardio and keto.
Yep.
And then...
Lifting weights too, or not?
No.
Okay, just cardio.
Yeah,
cardio working in keto.
I still do circus, which like I balance a girl in handstands and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, what you do is weights anyway, right? It's calisthenics. So.
But I was doing it a couple times a month at the time.
Okay.
Because of COVID, and and then I needed because I've done keto before, and within a month or two, I usually gain the weight back. So I needed to make a positive change.
So you're saying you lose weight and then you put the weight back on?
Yeah.
Gotcha. And why is that? Because I've been through that too. Why is that for you?
Because I don't have, I have no self-control unless there's like a definite, definite parameters, which is why I switched to intermittent fasting along with the health and longevity benefits that come with it. And with that, I've lost another like 25 pounds
on top of the 15.
On top of the 15.
So that's a big drop.
Yeah,
that's huge.
And that's in a year. And I mean, you've talked about it. David Sinclair says it's not important what you eat; it's when you eat.
Yeah.
I still drink beer a couple nights a week.
Yeah.
I'm continuing to be active. I do something at least 5 days a week.
Okay.
Whether it be like a brisk walk, like go on a hike, go snowboarding.
I like how you're doing things you enjoy.
Yeah.
You're not talking about, I'm going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. Because if you don't enjoy going to the gym, don't go to the gym.
Yeah,
you don't need to go to the gym. I love going to the gym, therefore I go to the gym. Mm-hmm. I hate running, therefore I don't run.
Yeah.
It's self-awareness.
Exactly.
You're talking about stuff you enjoy doing. So I would recommend that for anybody, right? Do what you enjoy.
If you're not going to enjoy it, you're not going to stick to it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It's going on hikes, going on adventures, rock climbing, kind of whatever seems interesting at the time.
Yeah.
I want to get into free diving, so I'm going to add that to different things soon. I've got a friend who's going for the world record in breath holding, and a few people that are active in the free dive community. Yeah. So, I would just love to kind of expand on that.
Literally dive into that.
Yeah.
You're fasting. What is your time restricted eating? Like, what is your time period and how do you do it?
It depends day to day on what I need to get done and how I feel. I typically cut off food at 8 or 10 p.m.
Yep.
So that I get the added benefits of fasting through the night.
Yep.
But I couldn't skip dinner because I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. So, and then I'll usually go until like 1, 2 in the afternoon.
So doing like 16, 18 hours, probably 18 hours.
Somewhere in that range.
Okay.
And it depends what I have to do the next day. Like if I have a really active day, I'll eat breakfast at like 11 or 12.
Okay.
Like if I think it's going to inhibit just living my life. And from time to time, I'll just have breakfast right when I wake up, maybe once every other week. But
okay. So you're 99% of the time you're doing a 16-8 fast.
Yeah.
In your eating time, are you eating clean or are you just kind of eating normal and not overthinking it too much?
I'm not overthinking it.
And you've still dropped that much weight?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I mean, I still eat fast food like half the time.
Do you really? I like your honesty too.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty.
Like I go to Carl's Jr. I have been eating
What's your go-to?
Double Western if I'm going to eat meat, but my girlfriend's vegan, so I've been eating significantly more plant-based, so I've been switching over to, they've got Beyond or Impossible Meat there, so like I'll get like a double Beyond burger.
I never got that.
I don't eat fries, I do cut out certain things.
Like soda?
I drink a lot of soda, but I don't drink...
I love the honesty.
I drink all diet soda because I think a lot of the science or like the stuff that's been propagated against different sugar substitutes has been overblown because like they were feeding mice about like half their body weight in freaking
and guys, the number one cause of obesity in this country is soda.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that. Soda, closely followed by cheese.
Oh, cheese, really?
Cheese is right out there. We don't need to eat cheese. Cheese is just a byproduct of milk that they just decide to make money from.
I mean, I love cheese.
And then they so do I. And they just slapped on everything.
Yeah.
And it's killing us.
Yeah, but I definitely stay away from anything with like I don't drink juices. If I'm gonna have like fruits or vegetables, I'm gonna have them natural.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have like a bunch of stuff that's sugary. And
Okay.
yeah, I drink a lot of coffee.
16. Do you have black coffee? Like I have a lot of black coffee. Or do you have the good the
No,
good stuff?
I try to have black coffee.
Okay.
But if I do put creamer in it, I do the sugar free.
Okay.
Just so I don't spike my blood sugar and
Like insulin,
negate some of the negate.
Do you ever
some of the
do MCT oil or something with your? Ever tried that with your coffee?
Yeah, I'll do MCT oil. I'll do coconut oil, and then also since I do have like a bad habit, like I don't eat clean, I did start doing athletic greens, and I've noticed a big jump in recovery, performance, just general mental clarity from that. Like I know
you don't put that with your coffee though, right?
No. Like I substitute that in between.
I mean, I'm extreme, but that's extreme.
Yeah. No.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've dropped that. So that's what I'm getting at. I always preach about the intermittent fasting, and like I fast every day, and when I do eat, I eat pretty clean. I might have one meal, like one cheat day a week.
Yeah.
But kind of like you touched on, it's not so much what you eat, it's when you eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And by containing that, even that bad food in a small period of time, it gives your body so much more time to burn it off, right?
Yeah.
And the proof's in the pudding. You're losing weight, and you honestly said you're having soda, you're having creamer, you're having fast food half the week, and you're still losing weight, and you still look very healthy. Never mind, if you're extremely overweight, it's gonna be so easy, right?
Oh yeah.
So. Okay, and then I know you're getting into the longevity study. I know like David Sinclair. You guys don't know who David Sinclair is. He is a Harvard scientist. He's Australian Harvard scientist in the medical side at Harvard, and he's all about longevity.
Oh, he's like the leading scientist in longevity. It's like him, and I think Dr. Peter Attia has like a lot of good longevity information. There's a couple others out there, but yeah.
What have you learned from him? What are you applying yourself?
So far, I've just applied intermittent fasting.
Is that because of him?
Definitely, that's a part of it. It's because of him and because of Peter Attia. I think.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Peter Attia was the first one to talk about the benefits of fasting and longevity that I heard of, and then I got on to David Sinclair later. I wish Inside Tracker would have offered their biological age test sooner, but soon it's not going to matter. Right now it's like $130, $150. Soon they're going to be releasing something where it's like $1, $2. So you can, like, everybody can have access to this data where they check 18 biological markers and figure out what your genetic age is versus your
chronological. Yeah. What we're touching on, guys, is like I'm 42, and just because I'm 42 doesn't mean my body's functioning as a 42-year-old. Mm-hmm. It could be functioning as a 23-year-old. It could be functioning as a 60-year-old.
Yeah.
So it's not so much like your birthday age, it's what your body's functioning at on the inside.
Exactly.
And there's plenty of 42-year-olds are functioning at 70, and there's a few like myself are probably, touch wood, functioning at a younger age.
Exactly.
And that comes down to when you're eating, what you're eating, how much exercise you're doing, access to things that make your body adapt, to make you younger.
Yeah.
So the fasting, David Sinclair, what else have you kind of learned? What can you kind of teach people from your personal experience about fasting and the benefits that you've had?
I can tell people that it's really difficult for the first few weeks.
Mental or physical? For me, it was more mental.
For me, it was both. I've tried intermittent fasting before this.
You have.
And part of the reason why I did keto before going intermittent fasting was my body was used to emitting ketones and burning fat.
Okay.
So I found the transition a bit easier.
Yeah.
Before I would get in like a week or two, and then I would just break and like not be able to do it. And I've been able to do it for years.
Was hungry, or were you like shaky, or
I get hangry.
Hangry.
Like, nobody wanted to be around me, and
that's not fun for anybody.
Yeah, I've told my current girlfriend that I get hangry, and she's like, I've never experienced that because she's only been dating me since I've been since I've gone from ketosis to intermittent fasting.
Gotcha. So you've broken your addiction to food.
100%.
Because we're all addicted to food. Whether you like it or not, you're addicted to food unless you're fasting.
Yeah, and my body's gotten used to it because there is an adjustment period of 2 to 3 weeks before your body gets in the rhythm, and it's like, oh, it's okay to be hungry. Unlike...
Guys, hear what he said? It's okay to be hungry.
Mm-hmm.
We've been... feeding and fasting for 2.5 million years. 100,000 generations we've been feeding and fasting.
Yeah.
Agriculture's only been around for 600 years. Industrial agriculture's only been around for 8 generations. We're meant to feed, we're meant to fast. Mm-hmm. But society, right? The media.
100%. Like they push like, oh, have a protein bar in between, have this, have that, but like
breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Yeah, they're just showing so much data on if you do fast, you could live 20 to 30% longer, and that's before any other things like CRISPR or like Editas, like gene editing, comes into the picture.
Yeah, all this stuff coming out now.
Extend stuff longer.
I want to touch on that. If you reduce your food by 25 to 30% of how much you eat in a day, it increases your lifespan by 25 to 30%.
Yeah,
and it has been proven.
100%.
It's insane.
And I mean, I've gone by some of the studies, and I do what works for me. Because you do OMAD, which I would probably become irritable if I did that. I've done it, tried it a few times, and 1 meal a day is not enough for me to like quell the hanger.
Yeah, and guys, I came from, like, I've competed, fitness comps, modeling. It's all been about the body, and I used to eat 6 to 12 meals a day.
Yeah.
And I'm not even joking. I'm talking about big 300-400 calorie of good food 6 to 12 times a day. Oof. And for me to go from 12 meals a day to 1,
impressive.
I never thought I would ever do that. But my life has never been better. Mm-hmm. Never been better. Never functioned better. Never felt better. Never kept weight off so easy in my life.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I started at 16.8 just like you did.
Yeah.
And I just, me being me, always pushing, pushing, just like you are. I'm like, hey, how far can I go? And it's like I used to live to eat, and now I just live and I eat when I want. And it's such a freeing feeling. Like I could tell you right now, I've been fasting for, and I use an app called Zero. 21 hours and 31 minutes I've been fasting.
Oh, wow.
So it's right there on my watch. Yeah. And I don't know about you, do you like to measure things?
Oh, 100%. If you don't measure, you're
not really sure where you're going, right?
Exactly.
It's very just fluff. It's just kind of fluff at that point, right?
Yeah.
You seem like an analytical type of person, where if you measure something, you can hit your goals.
I can hit my goals, know if I've hit my goals, and then see where I can push myself further. Because if you
exactly right,
like, if you don't have anything to compare it to, it's like, oh, why am I doing this? Like,
yeah, let's talk about that. Do you? Okay, I'm not going to ask you to write down goals. Because I already know you write down your goals.
Yeah.
Where do you put your goals? How often do you read them?
I actually I have what I call the bat cave at my house.
Okay. Is that like the man cave?
Yeah, it's where I do all my soldering. And usually when I'm doing like menial tasks where I have to like I'm creating something, I'll end up watching podcasts and whatnot. But I've put chalkboard walls all over the walls.
Oh, I love that. I got whiteboards stuck everywhere. I love chalk's amazing.
It's so good, and I write down all my goals, long term, short term, all over there. And sometimes when I take a break, I'll just spin in my chair and look at them. I'm like, oh, I've neglected that one for a little while. Or like, oh, that one can connect to that one. And
that's awesome. It's just always there, right?
Yeah, it's great to see it. Yeah. My brain is so chaotic otherwise that I'm just jumping from one thing to another, but it's like, oh no, there's this bigger picture. And literally,
even subconsciously, you see it and you read it, and it just keeps implanted in your brain, right? Because my goals are written above my office, and my kitchen overlooks my office, and I read them. I must read them 10, 20 times a day without even going looking for it.
Yeah.
And I remember last year, I was knocking off I achieved all but one of my goals.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I was like, I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
And even the body fat was get under 12% body fat or something. And I started really fasting at the end of the year, and I was like, oh damn, I actually achieved that goal too.
Oh, that's
amazing.
And
I didn't think I was going to hit that one. It's so weird. Most people don't write down goals, never mind put them in a spot.
Yeah.
And there's a saying, the difference between millionaires and billionaires, they say, is billionaires read the goals twice a day.
Okay.
And I mean, whether that's true or not, but I mean, the more you read your goals, the more they're kind of in your brain, and the more you subconsciously, consciously strive towards them.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What other benefits have you got from fasting besides obviously the weight loss?
I mean, I feel younger. I wish I would have gone with Inside Tracker before all of this.
Yeah.
Because I just got my biological age, and I'm 9.5 years younger than I am by my chronological age.
Which is so crazy, right?
Yeah, and I can still go down another 6 or 7 years according to their metrics.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That means you're feeling. So what age did it bring you down to?
What am I?
Your biological.
28.5? Yeah, 28.5, and I'm about to be 38.
Which is, so your body's functioning as a 28-year-old.
Yeah.
You're feeling like a 28-year-old.
And I'm going to try to get to 23.
Which is, it's so cool. And there's no reason that needs to change. Mm-hmm. And like you said, you can actually bring it down even further. And that's exciting, right?
Oh, it's super exciting. I mean, I plan on living to like 150, 200. Like,
yeah,
I want to see like all the developments in space travel. Like, there's so many cool things that we're on the horizon of.
That's the problem with getting old. Like I said, we're similar ages. The problem with getting older is like, oh, there's electric one wheels out there now.
Yeah.
There's drones. There's all this cool technology I wish I had when I was 15.
Yeah.
And now I'm in my 40s. And I don't want to get old because I want to stay. I get VR headset I use every night.
Yeah.
I love playing VR.
I saw you playing the game my roommate plays all the time.
I'm addicted to VR. And I want to stay young so I can continue to keep doing this cool stuff.
Oh, yeah. And
the electric e-foil surfboards, have you seen those?
Yeah.
I want to get one.
Those are super cool.
And now I'm starting to make more money. I can afford bigger, better toys. Mm-hmm. But I want to stay young enough where I can continue to play with these toys.
Yeah, but you're on the right track doing all the things to extend your longevity as much as we can by, like, modifying your behaviors to modify the epigenome and then basically extending it until the drugs come out that can reverse the clock. Like,
we watched the same podcast the other day, and it was David Sinclair was talking about every year you continue to live now, you add another 3 months to your life. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
It's ridiculous.
And he was saying eventually every year you live is going to give you another 2 years of life.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, the drugs and the technology are going to be out soon are going to allow you to live twice as long as you're actually living.
Exactly.
So exciting.
Well, they also say that, like, the first person that's going to live forever is already living on the planet.
Yeah, first person to live to, like, 150 years or something has already been born. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. And it's funny because you're like, oh, no, that's not true. But then you think we only live till we're 30, and then we only live till we're 40. Now the average lifespan is about 80, 85.
Yeah.
It continues to adapt. And the problem is, too, we're not getting healthier. We're actually unhealthier than ever.
Yeah.
But we got better drugs to keep us alive. But if you get on top of your health and you got these better drugs, it's a no-brainer. It's a win-win. It's amazing. Like controlled stress therapy, like cold ice baths, cold showers. You into that?
Yeah. I mean, I do every day when I do a shower, I do the last like minute and a half cold,
which is a long time.
Before that, I do it really hot, but that's like within my tolerance because I just can't man up to like jump in an ice cold shower at the start of the day. I need to like get clean, get ready, put on my like hype music, and that's how then turn on the cold.
But if you are going to do cold, always do it at the end because the benefit is it closes your body down. Mm-hmm. It restricts the blood vessels. It gets rid of the lactic acid. It's better to do it at the end if you're going to do it at all.
I didn't even know that, but like...
But how you should do it, if I ever have a warm shower, I have a couple of minutes of pure cold from the start.
Yeah.
Have a regular shower, and then I close it down like you do.
Okay.
Because the coolest thing about it is no one's holding a gun to your head, making you stand there naked in the cold, and nobody in the world cares if you do it or not. Mm-hmm. So if you can man up and put cold water on yourself first thing in the morning, the rest of your day's easy.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to see you try to push and adapt to doing that because, like you said, it's hard, it's challenging. Therefore, I feel like you'd probably want to step up and do that.
Actually, unfortunately, the last like 3 weeks since we got back from Singapore. I've had to do cold showers because we had a rat that chewed through our hot shower line.
There you go.
So I've been doing it the last 3 weeks.
Have
I've
you
been
really?
Forced to, yeah. Or I go to my girlfriend's place and take a hot shower.
Gotcha.
But I don't like it.
So why the cold?
I've just everything I've read and listened to from Peter Attia and David Sinclair. Just shows that stressing your system in those ways has so many health benefits. Even like doing it minimally like I'm doing, the benefits are still very clear. whether it be a sauna, like whether it be extreme hot, extreme
Yeah.
cold, whether it be fasting, stressing your body lets it reset and gives it time to like kind of like repair
and adapt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd probably agree, we're creatures of comfort, aren't we?
Oh yeah,
We're so weak. Like our bodies are so weak because we sleep in a warm bed, we hop in a warm shower, we hop in a warm car to a warm office, and we're sitting there the whole day too. So we're not moving, and we're comfortable, and our bodies never forced to adapt. I've been doing cold showers for 5 years. I have not been sick for 5 years.
That's amazing.
It's not why I started it.
Yeah.
I started for different reasons. But then all of a sudden, like, oh, I feel better. I function better. I don't get sick.
Yeah.
And I've kind of made a video on this. It's like, if that happened for, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year, like, hi, I'm just lucky. It's a fluke. After 5 years, not even getting indication of a cold, you're like, there's some truth to it.
That's pretty great.
And then, Wim Hof, the Iceman?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's your thoughts on him? Because he says a cold shower a day keeps the doctor away. And from my experience, 100% true.
I mean, I'm a big fan of his, but I hate the cold. So I'm just doing like...
I like how you admit that you hate it, but he still does it.
I still do it.
He still does it.
In short bursts. Part of it, too, is like I was trying to curb my caffeine consumption. And definitely doing a cold shower in the morning just wakes me up like nothing else.
Nothing else.
Also, listening to Andrew Huberman, I try to do the cold shower, and then I go outside and I get direct sun exposure for at least 30 minutes.
Like vitamin D.
Vitamin D, but also like the neurons like in our eyes. Having them exposed to direct sunlight will wake you up and get your rhythm. So I've been sleeping better since I've been doing this. I've been more alert and awake during the day. He's got a really great podcast on that. Like,
I'll have to check it out.
I heard about that through the Tim Ferriss show and started applying it, and it's been a game changer.
Do you hate fasting too? And you just kind of do it? Or you actually like that?
I hate it, and I just kind of do it.
I love it though. I love it. And hearing that, guys, it's like, you don't have to like this stuff, but to put yourself out of your comfort zone.
You have to like workouts.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many different things that you can do that you enjoy. There's so many things you can do for exercise.
And I still like...
I mean, sex could be an exercise, right? Like, if you really wanted to go that route, like you can make that a consistent thing. But so you don't like cold, you don't like fasting, but you're doing them both.
Yeah.
And you're doing both to a point that works for you. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it ridiculous like I do. I'm a little extreme. I get a little obsessive. But that's just me.
Yeah.
I don't expect anyone else to do what I do.
I wish I could do it to that level, but like...
But you're doing it, and you're doing it consistently.
Yeah, it's kind of... It goes back to one of the studies with rats and like caloric restriction, like time caloric restriction.
Yeah.
And they show that the ones that were doing OMAD were like... just more like that this is the rat that I am. They were like more angry. They would attack other rats. But then the ones that were doing like 14, 16 hour intermittent fasting were getting almost the same results, but they were much happier mice. So it's like finding that line of where you can still be happy, and
I like it. You're the happier mouse in this situation.
But it's because I can't push myself to that while being the happier mouse. So I know my limits.
With minimal benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that. What's your thoughts on consistency? To me, I feel like consistency is probably one of the most important things when it comes to business, reading, health, exercise, cold.
I mean, consistency is more important than passion. Like, passion will fade eventually. Like, we both talked about it as performers.
Yeah.
Like, I love what I do. I get paid to travel around the world. Like, I love halftime shows still. Get to perform for 20,000 people, like, get a great paycheck, and go home and, like, just kind of live my life. But, like, consistency is where you'll see the real gains. So try to build, if you're passionate about something, and you're trying to build a business, you shouldn't build it if you're not passionate. But build in those habits and that consistency. Yeah,
touch on that. I feel like a lot of people do stuff for money.
Yeah.
And I feel like and I've always read that it's the worst thing to do. And the more I've kind of seen that, it's the worst thing to do, isn't it?
It's 100% the worst thing to do.
Like, the money should be secondary and the money should follow your passion.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I think, like, the clearest version of this lesson is, like, oh, God, what is his name? Sorry, brain fart.
No, you're okay.
So I performed right before he did, like a general session opener. He's a guy that made Quest Nutrition.
Yes Theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember his name. Tom.
I can look it up. It's like one of the top podcasts I've got. But like,
did he say something? Did he?
Yeah, he basically like chased money because he was like his goal. Was
back in the day,
millionaire.
Right?
Yeah. And then he was so empty. Like he was so driven. Like the fact that he got to that level, but he was just so unhappy, so unhealthy. And then like he just went to his business partners. He's like, "Hey, I can't do this anymore."
Yeah, he just pulled out.
Yeah, he pulled out, and then that's when he started Quest Nutrition, I think.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story.
Tom
Ferriss or something, right? Like, gotcha.
Sorry, this is gonna bug me.
That's right. Yeah. So from my personal experience, it's like you do your passion because you do. If
Tom Bilyeu, it's such a weird last name. But yeah, like you shouldn't do something like, or at least start a business if you're not passionate about it, because you're not going to be able to get to the top of your game. You're not going to be able to like do those like super late nights, putting in the time marketing, putting in the extra hours, because
especially at the start when you're not getting paid for it, and you may not ever get paid for it.
It's a lot of work to work for yourself.
Yeah.
Like they have a lot of quotes that float around where it's like,
I was going to ask you about what's like a quote that really has stuck with you that I feel like most people, I know I've got a couple of just like resonate.
I mean, hell yes or no has like really like
I like that.
Changed.
So simple.
Yeah. That's a, what is it? Ball, circle of five, and the guy who made Dropbox has like a good like triple pack of like ball, circle of five. There was one. We're gonna say it's a 2-pack, but like he basically like he had this dog that would just go nuts over this ball, and it was like the happiest ever when he would throw it.
Yeah.
And like find what you're that happy and that passionate about and chase it.
Gotcha.
Circle of five, like it's so important to like just be around people that lift you up, and like it's so easy to get caught in like hanging out with the same people who aren't pushing you, and like and then hell yes or no, like
I like that a lot. Something I heard the other day was seek discomfort.
Yeah.
I was like, I like it so much I want to tattoo it on my forehead. I'm like, and I read a lot and I know a lot of quotes, but that one was just like, I felt like that it just summed me up, like Brendan 101, like seek discomfort, whether that's fasting, whether that's cold, whether that's business, whether that's doing things that challenge you, things that scare you, things that make you feel alive. And that goes back to just doing the same thing and being stuck in the same little, not looking, just counting down the days, right?
Totally. And also just say yes, like especially like, I mean, I've had some of the best experiences of my life, like just saying yes. It's led to me traveling. I've been to 39 countries, like performing. Really? Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, 38 performing. I paid to go to one.
What's from traveling, what's the best perspective you've kind of got coming back to the States?
I mean, most recently, like, I'm so thankful for our freedom. We were just in Singapore, and, like, the regulations, like...
Just with COVID or outside of COVID?
I mean, both. Like, I've never been a huge fan of Singapore in general. Yeah. It's like, it's that beautiful girlfriend that you've got that's super boring and, like, uptight.
Oh,
like,
gotcha. Okay. Have one of those.
Yeah, I think we all have.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a lot of COVID restrictions in addition to all the other... like restrictions, but it's just, I mean, it's one of the most amazing things you can do to get perspective of how other cultures, other people, like, just live their lives.
Just how lucky you are, right? Just how lucky you are.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, and it's beautiful to like see like how like we've all evolved as like species or into like different groups and whatnot, and it's one of the most stunning things you can do is travel. Like,
that's 100% the reason I want to travel is just perspective.
Yeah,
just appreciate. Like, I'm Australian. Like, I'm born in Australia. Like, I couldn't have had it any better.
Yeah,
literally born in one of the nicest places in the world. Free medical, all those things on your side. You get looked after. If you're unemployed, you get looked after. It's just an amazing place. I don't have the true perspective of coming from South America or something like that.
Yeah.
And I always think about this too. Like, as a 42-year-old, if I was living in India or China, my life would be so different.
Yeah, like India and China are probably my two least favorite places that I've gone, and they just make me appreciate everything we have so much more.
Is it just the population, the pollution?
The pollution is like a huge one. The sanctity for life, like, I mean,
yeah, the person, yeah, if someone dies, it's not such a big deal, right?
Yeah, we were down rigging our show, and they told us like we're not allowed to go anywhere near the stage when it happens, and we were like, well, why? And we watched as like these Chinese guys were just dropping all this like rigging equipment that should not have been dropped. It's like all like aluminum trussing and different things. And one of them, like, nailed another one in the head. He was, like, knocked unconscious.
Jesus.
3 of them walked over, like, checked his pulse. And they, like, shook their heads at each other, dragged him by his feet into a pile of other Chinese guys that were also unconscious. Like, it's it's just throw, like, people at the problem.
There was 2 miners buried alive in Australia. Whole world came to a stop.
Yeah.
For like, I think 2 weeks it took them to get him out. The country just stopped. And then they were saying, if this happened in China, man, they would have just left him there.
Yeah.
That was that. And I was just like, wow, it just blew my mind. Like, our country came to a stop for 2 weeks. That's all you heard about.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like, you just don't appreciate how lucky you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's insane what you're saying. That's crazy. Before we finish up, is there anything you kind of want to tell people as far as like, what do you feel like? I personally feel like health is the most important thing, because you got money without health, it's pointless.
Yeah.
What's from your personal experience? What do you think is like the things you really should like focus on? And
I mean, health and just enjoying your life. Like it all boils down to like money isn't like the key to everything. Like money is a tool to be able to accomplish things and like be able to spread happiness or like accomplish your goals, but like do the things that like you love. Like
touch on that too. Like if you're working a job you hate or you don't like your life, how do you change that?
That's like such a hard one to do. I mean, I'll usually, because as humans we have certain needs, and one of them is for stability and like comfort. So like I wouldn't necessarily recommend someone like quit their job that they hate. I would just make sure that like when you're not on the clock, do all the things you love, and like definitely put some time into trying to find some other job that you enjoy more, even if it pays you less, live below your means, but like really just focus on like loving your life and like appreciating that extra time that you do have, or like save for an early retirement, like get out of there as quick as possible.
And try to separate that gap. You're in a job that you hate, get a little side hustle, get a little bit extra money,
100%,
and don't spend it. Create a little bit of a safety net, which gives you the ability to quit your job and
turn that side hustle into your main income. You
got to be doing something else there, but just don't keep spending that more and more money, because you keep stuck in that. Now you're stuck doing your side hustle and your job, and you're even more stressed than you were. You need to create that little bit of safety net to give you some room to breathe. So if you do lose your job, COVID happens, whatever it is, you're like, I'm good. I'm good.
I mean I was bankrupt at 21, and by 23 I had a year and a half in the bank of like I could not work a day for a year and a half.
You can do it very quickly, right?
Yeah, you can do it if you minimize like your expenses, like rent, car, like insurance, food. You can do it relatively quickly, and it gives you so much freedom, and also just the ability to make the right decisions long term rather than the decision where you need the money now.
That's one thing I've found is like if you keep your debt really low and you live under your means, you can make that gap very quickly. Very quickly.
Well, and like that was the thing is when I first got into performing, like I found out that I could make $1,000 for a 5-minute performance, like doing what I do. And I'm like, oh, if I do one of those a month, I can live off of that. So my goal was to get to 2 of those a month. And then by like the end of it, I was doing like 8 or 9 and just like putting money in the bank.
And it's all saving, right?
Yeah, and it's all going to savings.
And you're not buying a nicer car or nicer shoes. You're like, That's what I like, is like when I get these jobs, I'm like, oh, it's just saving money. It's just saving money.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
And then invest it in other stuff.
Yeah.
And
just before we finish up, investing. What's you invested in a lot? You mentioned Bitcoin earlier. Are you into shares as well, property? Where are you kind of at with the investing side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody should invest in themselves first, whether it be books, equipment for your passions, like whatever it is, to start the side hustle. And then leverage those assets that are making you money in some capacity.
Have you got a rule on that? Do you only invest money you can afford to lose? Do you invest just a small percentage of your net worth?
Yeah, I only invest what I can afford to lose. Like, it basically, once it's invested, I don't think about it.
Forget about it. It's gone.
Yeah, and then also I set goals with it to sell on the way up. And I started instituting those when, like, the last time Bitcoin crashed. I told all my friends, like, hey, I could pay off my house and buy a used Tesla. Like, if I sell all my Bitcoin now, and everybody's like, do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I'm going to wait till it doubles again. And then, like, 3 days later, the whole market crashed.
Oh, so it went down.
It went down from, like, 20,000 a coin to, like, I think 5,000, and then I started buying more at like 3,000.
Okay.
And I just doubled down, and now I have my like every time it doubles, I'll sell a coin. And then also with like my stocks, I'm pretty heavy into tech stocks and whatnot.
Yeah.
And basically, like every time it doubles, I'll sell off like a certain percentage. I kind of just figured that out.
Okay.
But there's a really good book by Ray Dalio on like making systems for like investing to keep your emotions out of it, because you really need a system, because I remember like checking it every day, multiple times a day, and you get emotional about it. And
that's where mistakes happen, right?
Yeah, you just need to set it and forget it. Like,
I never heard that. That's
really?
weird. No, that's funny, because as soon as you said it, that seems like just the principle that you probably read in every single book. But I've never actually heard those words.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, they say invest your money, go in a cave for the next 40 years, come out and you're good.
Exactly.
Avoid the roller coaster and the emotional roller coaster.
But sell some on the way up, because the market could crash. Like,
yeah, and then just live below your means, do what you love to do.
Yeah.
And just to finish on that, how important is to do what you love to do as far as happiness?
I feel like it's the most important thing. Like,
it is, right? Like,
yeah. Like, chase your passions, live your dreams, and just like, whatever capacity it is, if you want to make that student film, like if you want to like pursue something in performing, just go for it. Like, don't be afraid to fail, because the worst thing that happens is you're where you started, and then pick yourself up and try again. And
you learn more by doing that and failing, and you learn more up here, which is invaluable. You can't read it in a book. You got to go through that. You got to put the reps in, right?
Oh, yeah.
As I like to say. And I know Gary Vee talks about this a lot. He goes, if you're making $100,000 a year in a job you hate, and you start cooking cupcakes and you love it, you make $30,000 a year, 99% of people are going to go that route and do what they love to do, make less money. Mm-hmm. So
and that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Also, though, like, be cautious about making your passions your jobs, because they say...
It's like a burnout, right?
Yeah, but also at a certain point, it does become a job. Like, you'll lose some of that passion, and make sure you're like pursuing other passions during that as well, because I mean, if you just have one passion and you burn that out, like, what are you left with? Like,
you're stuck in a job that you hate again.
Yeah, you're back where you started. So that's one thing that I've definitely learned.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I love it, dude. Thank you so much, man. That was amazing.
All right.
I totally got a lot out of that. I love that.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Hopefully the end is recording still.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.